Welcome to another episode of the 5enses Webcast. I'm your host, Robert Zinni, and today we have our championship edition with former Pittsburgh Steeler Rocky Bleier to talk about his Super Bowl experience. Rocky, how are you doing today?
I'm fine. Robert, how are you doing? Yeah, well, you should be doing fine. I know where you are. I'm in Pittsburgh, and it's cold. It's cold.
Right.
It reminds me of the winter. Yes.
Oh yeah, the Rust Belt City winters. Oh, I know that. And from Buffalo, we have the same kind of climate. And I just want to remind our.
Speaking of Buffalo, I know we have this bet that went on in that game, and I owe you, and I owe you, and I owe you. So take it easy on me, okay? Fine. The check's in the mail.
No, I think I can't take it easy on you because it must feel really bad having the Browns destroy the Pittsburgh Steelers playoffs.
That's even worse. The Bills had a good. I mean, the Bills were on moving. They were playing well, and and so and they did play well against the Steelers. And then the Browns, my goodness gracious, it's like, we just gave them hope over there. I mean, that made their whole season to be able to beat the Steelers at the end of the season, playoffs. Oh my goodness gracious!
Right, so, but hey, at least the Steelers gave them like some hope for 20 years of like domination towards them.
So, that's right.
The little guys need to win sometime too, right?
Every now and then, it's good for the game. It's good for the sport. To prop up the fan base for those cities, I mean, and the Bills have been there. They get great, but they just never be able to do it. Now, all the fans are very excited, as the Browns fans are very excited about their future and what's going to happen next year. So, it makes it just for good sport and for good rivalries.
Oh yeah, and I really never got to experience a winning Bills season, so it was like the best. Like I never really got to like experience what it means to enjoy the ride of the season. And even if they fell short to the Chiefs, it kind of reminds me that maybe this will be a new rivalry, maybe the Chiefs and Bills, kind of like in the 70s. I believe you had to go up against the Raiders a bunch in the AFC Championship games, right?
Oh, very much so, and that became a very dominant rivalry through that period of time. So the Raiders, prior to the 70s, and so the Raiders they were winning. I mean, even in the 70s, so 70, 71, 72, the Raiders, if you look at, so it wasn't until 72, and in 72 they came to play Pittsburgh. It was the first time that the Steelers had been in the playoffs in their 40-year history, and so we're playing against the Raiders, and obviously they had taken the lead late in the fourth quarter on a scramble touchdown, and so we came back, and it turns out to be, a deflected pass in the last 28 seconds of the game. Immaculate reception changed the whole course and direction of, the Steeler team and franchise. And then it became a rivalry. So now we were a formidable foe, for the Raiders, and being in the same conference. Obviously, we then went on to meet several times thereafter in championship games. We won, they won, and so we won, and so it was terrific for the game, but it was terrific for the fan base too, because you get to hate people, so you get to hate the Raiders, and so that's that was very important. Right. Not to hate the Raiders, but to have that rivalry in the fan base.
Exactly. So like getting to the Super Bowl must have been very difficult because you had the Dolphins in the 70s, the Raiders in the 70s. And like you said, I think there was 3 or 4 years where you're duking it out with the Raiders. So before we go into your Super Bowl experience, what did it mean to compete with the best in the AFC to get the chance to go to the Super Bowl?
Well, I think, obviously that's what the game's all about. That's what you're playing for, that opportunity to be able to define who you are as a team and as an organization. And that only comes from winning and playing the best. So as I said, in 72 was was a milestone for us and a big stepping stone. And played the Miami Dolphins the week thereafter and lost to them the championship game. They go to the Super Bowl. They have their undefeated season that year. They've been hanging their hat on that undefeated season all these years since. But anyway, not to take it away. And so, but I think as a team, as you grow, that expectation now, all of a sudden we've been there, you want to be there again. So in 73, we come back and we lose in the playoff games. In 74, we come back. 74, for us, I mean, it just is, you never know what's going to happen in the season. There was a players' strike. People don't remember this. There was a players' strike in 1974. So the veterans were out of camp for 3 weeks or so. And the rookies came in. The Steelers, we had 14 rookies make the team that year. I mean, it was a young team in that regards. The stability of the team or the experience of the team were in key positions: quarterback, running back, and we had some good receivers. Defense was coming along very well. Joe Green was part of that defensive base and help with Mel Blount. And so we were coming of age. And then all of a sudden we get the strike, 14 new guys coming in. It was a great class. Out of that class of 74, 5 of those players now reside in the National Football League Hall of Fame. So it was a pretty good crew. But we did know we lost 4 of our first 5 games. No, we didn't. I'm sorry. We were 3-1-1. I'm sorry. That was later on. We were 3-1-1. Bradshaw was sitting on the bench. Joe Gillum was the starting quarterback. And then Franco was not playing. He was banged up. And so it was kind of like a struggle. Then all of a sudden it clicked. Things start to fall into place. And we go on and we get to the playoffs and we win the playoffs and we go to the Super Bowl for the first time. But it's what happens and what we see today in today's game or in this Super Bowl is kind of the same thing. Momentum becomes very important. Not so much how you start, although that is important. I mean, but it's like, what do you do? How do you overcome those losses or changes? How do you mesh together as a team? How do you grow? How do you become better? And as we see it in these two teams, Kansas City and Tampa, that same track that has taken place. Tampa specifically more than Kansas City. Kansas City's got a returning team, been there before, got a great mental set, got a great quarterback, have the essentials, of defending their Super Bowl championship. You got Tampa Bay, as we've seen them just move on, gotten better, started winning games, get confidence, and it brings out the most in the players.
No, I agree. And I want to touch about, like you said, momentum, the mentality. So you had one of the greatest coaches of all time in Chuck Noll. How did he prepare you guys for each Super Bowl? Because you went through 4 Super Bowls in a span of, I think, 8 years, maybe a little bit less. But so how did he prepare you for each tournament, each playoff to get to the Super Bowl?
Well, from Chuck's point of view and what he had relayed to his teams as he's done this from the first 74 and on all the way through, that the Super Bowl is just one game in a series of games. And so how you prepare for the Super Bowl is how you prepared for every game that you played to be able to get there. Because if you don't have that preparation, you'll never get to the Super Bowl or to the championship or to the playoffs or win your division in any case. So that was kind of the mindset. And the first Super Bowl, as through all the Super Bowls, so we had a championship game two weeks ago, let's just say. And so he gave us off after the championship game, Monday, Tuesday off. Wednesday, we came together. talked about the opponent, went through practice on Wednesday and Thursday, and then Friday, had Saturday, Sunday off. Sunday, we flew down to the venue, wherever that might be. And so we had Sunday night off, because we usually would anyway. Monday night off, and then media day on Tuesday, which was a short day. And then we'd start practice again on Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. So he just kept it within that mindset. Didn't expect you to work any harder than you've had to be able to get there, or spend more hours reviewing film or any of that. It was, this is how we've done it. This is how we've got here. So let's put it in the right perspective and play the game we're capable of playing. Nice.
And that seemed to translate into almost every Super Bowl, because when I was watching highlights of the Steelers in the 70s, your defense pretty much dominated everybody they can. Like, I couldn't believe how many turnovers you had the defense to have Tarkenton just like completely not look like himself in the first Super Bowl you won. So what was it like to go against the NFC? Do you feel like it was a different kind of a game in the Super Bowl, or do you just have that Steeler mentality where we're going to dominate you no matter what it takes?
Well, I think this very simply. I mean, you have to play your game and who you are. You have to, prepare. I don't think there was any, real difference in how the AFC approached or the NFC approached the game. It's how that team played, or what their strengths were, or what their weaknesses were, that gave you either an advantage and or something to work on. So each team was different in that regards. The first one against Minnesota Vikings, they were defending Super Bowl champions coming into that game, so that was a big that was a big thing to overcome, I should say. And I can remember when we were being introduced into the game. So now we're down in New Orleans. We spent the week down in New Orleans, going through practice, and as I had said before. But, you had evenings off, and so you go down to the French Quarter, you might have dinner, and then ultimately you would run into some of the players on the Vikings at a bar or a restaurant or whatever it might be. And, you were cordial, but, it was it. So as we were being introduced down to Lane Stadium, both teams came out of the same end zone. And so as we were standing there, you can feel the tension between the two, the looks, usually it doesn't happen that one goes out of one way, the other one comes out of the other end zone. But now we're both standing there waiting to be introduced on the field. And it was kind of creepy, just like, okay, when all of a sudden one of our defensive safeties couldn't take it anymore. And he just screamed at the top of his lungs. I can't tell you what he screamed, but we're going to kick your and fill in the blanks there. And so that kind of broke the tension at that moment of time. And so it got us going anyway. So, but that was kind of an experience that had taken place. So anyway. But, you approached it in that regards. And so if you did your work, understand what you're trying to get accomplished, and we had put a couple plays in, as we did in every game, to take advantage of some weakness that we saw or something that might happen that would benefit us. But as it goes through, is that you win Super Bowls by your defense. And the defense is what gets you through the season and into the games. And the defense has to be able to, stop the opponent, dominate them, get them into that third and long situation, or third down situation somewhere, and then be able to stop that third down, and that's what we were very good at doing. Our defense played very, very well.
Right. So let's focus more about your experience with the Super Bowl, because again, if anybody looks up the Steelers and it looks at defensive domination, I think the steel curtain would be like the definition in the dictionary. So what was like the best part about going and playing in the Super Bowls?
Well, I think I think the best part about it is that you're going to the Super Bowl, okay, and that you're going to the Super Bowl, and you are being recognized. I mean, this is what you play for. This is what it's all about, of being to be the best wherever it might be, whether it be in high school or college. You want to be recognized as one of the outstanding teams and or the best team, whatever it might be. So, consciously, subconsciously, it's just part of it and part of the work. So that was that was crucial, of just that recognition, and then performing well, because now you're on a stage in front of millions of people, and it's how you perform. You don't want to be the GOAT. You don't want to make the mistake. You don't want to fumble the ball. You don't want to drop a pass when it's crucial. So there's this kind of added pressure, maybe subconsciously, but it's still there. And it's all about your belief in your team, in the game plans in which you have, the individuals that you're playing with, the coaching staff. All that stuff becomes very important in how you approach the game, what you believe, and how the team reacts to situations. Because there's going to be, unknown situations that'll happen. You don't mean to, a tipped pass here, or a fumble here, somebody hits you hard. How do you react to that setback for that moment in time, and then be able to go on.
Okay. So at any point when you were on the field for any of the Super Bowls, did you feel any pressure? Did you, as a player, ever have that mentality? It's like, oh my God, it's Super Bowl. Like, what am I doing here? Like, were you like a deer in the headlights? Like, was there any point where like that pressure like got to you?
No, not really. I mean, because you talk to any player, you talk to anybody that's ever that's played the game, and universally, is that yes, there's anxiousness beforehand. You get butterflies. Some players get so jittery that they might have to throw up and beforehand, but that's all part of the human reaction. Once that whistle blows or the kickoff takes place, all of a sudden it's just everything's blacked out. You're in a game and you think about it. Thousands of people maybe screaming in the stadium, but you hear everything that is happening. Audibles by the quarterback, calls, blocking assignments, and it's an amazing, at least for me, period of time, and you just kind of block everything out, and so you just focus on the game. And and you've played enough games to get there that things happen. Things will happen. Hopefully they don't happen to you, but they may, and so then you just deal with it at that time, because it's a part of what takes place.
Okay, so I want to kind of relive a little bit of your touchdown that you had in Super Bowl 13 against the Cowboys. And so you're not known for your hands, or you weren't known, but you make like a spectacular play where you're like diving up and then you land on your back. Can you walk us through that play, and like how was it scoring in a Super Bowl?
Well, obviously it was terrific to score, but here's the situation that things happen that aren't expected to happen. So the score was tied, and I'll just take you back. The score was tied 14-14, and the Cowboys had the ball prior. We're driving down the field. We got an interception, took it down right before the half, and all of a sudden we worked ourselves down. We're on the 7-yard line. It was third down with 1 yard to go for a play, for a first down, I should say. And the play was a quick play action pass play. Like a play action fake to Franco into the line, pull the ball out. My responsibility was to go down the line of scrimmage, and after the fake, Bradshaw would just hit me very quickly, like an arrow shot, catch the ball, fall over the line, pick up the first down. That's all. That was the play. Maybe 2 yards, maybe pick up 2. Who knows? But So the ball was snapped. I came out of my stance. D.D. Lewis, outside linebacker, jumped across that line of scrimmage and took my path away from me to go down that line of scrimmage. And so I broke it off inside of him and went straight up the field. Bradshaw faked DeFranco, pulled the ball out, couldn't find me, thought it was a broken play, scrambled to his right. And now all of a sudden, I'm in the end zone. He sees me, seconds ticking down. He throws the ball. Now, my reaction was this. He's throwing it over my head. I mean, he's kind of like throwing it away. It's a high ball. And I thought, if I could just get my fingers, maybe I can just get my fingers on it and tip it down. Maybe it'll fall into my hands. And I threw my hands up as high as I could. As I tell people today, I don't know, 18, 19, 20 feet, I jumped. So I kind of forget.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden the ball stuck in my hands and I came down across the goal line to score, to give us a lead. And as I say, a lead we never relinquished. But that was like a broken play that turned out, to be fun. So in a game like of this nature, later on in the game, Jackie Smith, their tight end, dropped one in kind of the same situation in the end zone. Would have made the difference? They think it would have, but I don't think that it would have. It would have they would give them a lead or tied the score at the time if that would have happened. But so you never know in a game of this nature. Somebody makes a pass, somebody drops a pass, and that becomes the difference.
Exactly. And I think when you watch any of these big games, it's always that unsung hero. It's that person that maybe, I know with the Giants, when they beat the Patriots, it was like a practice squad player that did the helmet catch, the first one. And, that was his career. And for you were such a staple to the Steelers. It was really nice to see you, even though I wasn't alive. Really nice to see that you as a role player was able to make that kind of crucial catch, if you will, because like you said, after you scored, the Cowboys came close, but you never bent to get them.
That's right.
Right.
And so, yeah, you never know. And I mean, we had at that time, Lynn Swann was coming of age, and John Stallworth were making impacts in the passing game. And Franco obviously was our perennial, 1,000-yard rusher. Great offensive line that allowed him to be able to do that. Defense was getting stronger and more dominant, and so Lambert's in the middle linebacker now, and so things were coming of age, as they say, and the team was starting to mold.
Okay, so before we get into any more details about the Super Bowls, I kind of want to know, how does winning 4 Super Bowls change your mentality, confidence, and life path? It's so it's hard to get to the Super Bowl. It's hard to win one Super Bowl. But for you individually, 4 Super Bowls. I last week ESPN had their whole ring series that they always put out, and right. There's you, and I'm like, oh man, there's Rocky with all 4 diamond rings.
Yeah.
So what does that do for a person with their mentality, confidence, and also life path for winning 4 Super Bowls?
Well, it becomes very special. Obviously, it boosts your confidence as a player, being a part of. I mean, I think the biggest thing, in from my perspective, is that just being a part of that team. We won the first Super Bowl, we won the second Super Bowl. Who knew there was going to be 3 or 4, thereafter? I think what people and your listeners have to understand is that what made that possible is that I think there are 26 players that have 4 Super Bowl rings on our team, from our team. Okay, so you look at that core of players that would not exist today in a free agent market and a salary cap that we have. And so because of that, we got 10 guys that are in the Hall of Fame because of winning those. So when you have that that foundation of talented all-pro players and Hall of Famers, that's what gets you through. you know the caliber, you know what to expect, you know the defense, you know the offense, and so on and so on. And so for me to be able to ride those coattails, I mean, I say that in all honesty, to be a part of, and I think to be a contributing part. You know, you can be a part of a team, you can win 4 Super Bowls. Think from an individual point of view, it's what you contribute, or you get recognized for your contribution, you know, within that game or within that period of time. And so it does. It helps your confidence, your ego, and what you can and cannot accomplish thereafter. And so I've become very appreciative because of the caliber of players that I get to play with, and because of their talent, it raises my standards in the eyes of fan base up there. So it was being at the right place, right time. It was a great run that you were able to partake in.
Agree. And so you're talking about you get to partake in it. So let's kind of flip it to the fan side, right? And so Pittsburgh has that rich history of just blue collar, but they also like to party. So how was coming back and doing the whole celebration with the city of Pittsburgh?
Well, obviously it was terrific. So you come back, you're down there, you win the game. So there's a party afterwards. The organization puts a party on, win or lose, but winning is much more better. So much more better. That's great English. The winning is terrific. And so then you come back. And then they have a parade, or ultimately the city in Pittsburgh has a parade. People who have been starved, especially in the image of Pittsburgh. So people have had this image, and maybe some people still do have this image. And you say Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Back then, all of a sudden you think of steel mills, smoke-filled, dirty in Pittsburgh, really, in all honesty. I mean, you guys lived there in Pittsburgh, and but for the fan base, yes, that's the way it was, but they are in the city of champions, and so that raised the whole standard of how you perceive yourself. And yeah, we're from a great city because of what we accomplished. And at that time, too, just to help the city, was that the Pirates baseball team were winning as well, and playing, going to the World Series. And so that combination of those two teams, just raised the feeling of that city of champions, being from Pittsburgh, no matter how people outside that area might have perceived them. So that was a big thing.
Oh, I definitely feel that with how a team lifts your confidence and like really just boosts just the whole well-being of that city. And coming from Buffalo, we don't really care about the outside world because for the most part, people just crap on our great city, and you have to keep it, in that family, in that community, which you're a part of for Pittsburgh. Yeah. And so I could see that.
You understand it. I mean, here's the thing. Let's talk about Buffalo just for a second. Only because of the fact that Buffalo is the only team that's ever been to 4 straight Super Bowls. I mean, 4. Okay, they didn't win, but so in our society, it's win or lose. And you go, well, that's crappy. I mean, no other team has ever been there 4 straight years in a row. So take pride in that fact from a fan base, that this was a great organization and a great city to be able to do it, and then to be able to come back and obviously this year and it started to build up and play those years back, and so so I hopefully have great expectations for what Buffalo will be doing in the future.
Oh yeah. There's a great team coming along, and I really like the coach's mentality because it's all about growth mindset. And at my work, I'm in charge of the culture piece, and so we've always done growth mindset. So it's really cool to see my favorite team or my hometown team instill a different kind of culture in there that's about growth, about playing the toughest, that standard of excellence. And so again, I've never got to experience that. So it's been really cool last 4 years as a fan to kind of be like, oh man, like what I'm doing in my life is now reflected on that. And again, this is why I like sports. It's healing. It's awesome. It makes you escape in a healthy way.
Right.
And then there's all those life metaphors that you can take from every different sport. And so that's where my passion lies.
Yeah.
And so, we're going to be running out of time shortly. So I kind of wanted to like really hit some stuff. So please, full disclosure, I would like as much detail as you can. So 4 Super Bowls, 2 against the Cowboys, America's team, which
Right.
I don't know, I really agree with that statement. Was there any other Super Bowl, or was there a Super Bowl win that was the most satisfying for you and the Steelers? Like, was there just one that just like put the cherry on top?
Oh, out of the victories, I think that probably beating the Cowboys. I'm beating the Cowboys of the first one, because they were, the America's team. They were coming of age and so on, and to beat them in Super Bowl 10 and then in Super Bowl 13 as well 2 years, 2 Super Bowls later. But anyway, so that probably was the most, satisfying. The first one, Minnesota Vikings, they were there, didn't know much about them, and they didn't play they didn't have a great game. I mean, I'm going to just say that. But with the Cowboys, you never knew with Rodgers' public and their ability to come back, and you've seen it time and time again, their ability to score, their ability to come up with big plays, much like the Steelers, so that was probably our feather in our cap to be able to say, okay, fine, we beat them and then beat them again. Those games were the best in the game. We played the Rams. The Rams were 11-point favorite going to that game out, and so they were a wild card team to win. So they had momentum going out there, and they're playing out in L.A., even though it was in the Rose Bowl, but they're playing somewhat of a home game, out there, and their fans were excited just because of the fact that they were there, and no one anticipated them to be there. So that was a game with big plays. We had to come from behind to be able to win the game, and we did beat the spread as well. So that was important. But there was those Cowboy games that was really self-satisfying.
Okay. Was there one team, or who was the team that you faced, or at least the defense that you felt was the toughest? Like, what was the defense that kind of gave your offense the toughest run in the Super Bowl?
Probably, let me see. So we had the Fearsome Foursome from Minnesota. It had great reputation, and so had all of the Hall of Fame names and great players. So that was the first test, really. I mean, the big test of our offensive line going against a great defensive line, and named players, that everybody would recognize because of their ability to play. And so that was a big game. But we put one. We put a play into that game, into that game to take advantage of what we thought was a weakness that we saw. Very aggressive as that defense was, and we were a pulling, trapping, sweeping kind of a team. And so as our guards would pull left or right, their defensive tackles, were very quick coming off the ball and following and trying to beat the block that was, or the person that was going to block them. And so, so we took advantage of it, and we put a play in called Dive 34 Sucker. I'm going to just tell you this, okay? Just imagine this. Here's the play. Everybody goes to the left. I take a counter step and come back to the right. Okay. And we had seen that there was a hole or would be a big hole. And so we put that play in there. Ran it, second play of the game. 19 yards. Thank you very much. Thank you. Franco would have scored, but I got 19 yards. So he just had to put it in. Then we run it again, and I got like 12 yards. Then we run it again. I got like 10 yards. Then we run it again. I got 8 yards. Now we're in the fourth quarter. And the ball, so it's a 3rd and 6 situation on the plus. We're on probably the 26-yard line, right around there. And Bradshaw comes in the huddle in his leadership role. He looks up at his offensive line and he goes, "What do you guys want to run?" In unison, let me tell you this, Robert, in unison, without missing a beat, all of them said, "Sucker." And I'm thinking, yeah, because you don't block anybody, on that play. Everybody just goes one way and leave. How dumb do you think they are to allow this to be run 6 times in a game and not be able to stop? Well, we ran it, and I just was able to eke out the 6 yards. The ball, just the tip of the ball was right over the line. And so anyway, so then we went on and Larry Brown, our tight end, scored on the next series, and we took the lead in that game. So, there's as they approach games, you look for those kinds of weaknesses or things that you can take advantage of, and tendencies that teams have, one nature or another. So that's what always makes it exciting to see and to watch it, what develops and how they play the game.
Nice. Yeah. Wow. Thank you for walking us through that Super Bowl, because those are the plays where, you may get 19 yards, but they set up that long drive, but also kill the clock, because you only won by 10 points against the Minnesota Vikings that year. So that's a great adjustment that your team has won. What was your best memory in any Super Bowl?
Okay, probably my best memory in the Super Bowl, and it really didn't take place in the Super Bowl itself or in the game, but it was after the Vikings game. And so it was after the Vikings game, and the defense was out on the field. So the rest of us were on the sidelines, and the clock was ticking down in that fourth quarter. And my whole idea was to get off the field. I mean, I didn't want to be trampled by all the Steeler fans that were there at the game, and congratulate you, and blah, blah, blah. And so I inched my way towards the end of the sidelines as the clock's ticking down. And then as the game was over with, myself and a lot of the players, we just head for the end zone to get and go into the locker room. So I was the first person to get into the locker room. And so it was just that. I got into the locker room, and there was Mr. Rooney, owner of the team. And he had just turned around. He usually is, he'd leave 5 minutes before the game was over with to get down to the locker room so we could welcome the players coming in after the game, no matter what it might be. So he's down in the locker room, and he's just walking away as I come in, and he turns, and I'm there, and we embrace. And I said, "Thank you very much," and he goes, "No, thank you, Rock." And that was it. That one moment, it was all worthwhile of all the time and effort that you'd put in.
Well, Rocky, thank you. It's been a pleasure again talking with you, reliving some of the Super Bowl highlights. And so before we sign off, can you tell our viewers what have you been up to, and if there's a charity that you would like to plug?
Well, thanks very much. Oh, we always got charities that we, like to plug. There's a charity that I'm very involved with at this moment in time called Warriors of Citizens, and it's a transitional group in helping not only our military personnel but also first responders, because there's a similarity in conflicts of how they handle the pressures in which they are under. And so it's a counseling effect that's free. that's ongoing online by professionals to help not only our military but families and the kids within that relationship. The statistics that are out there from a divorce rate escalation to a suicide rate escalation to mental health problems, post-traumatic stress have increased, especially during this pandemic that has even made it worse. So, it's a great organization that reaches out and touches those people that so sorely need some guidance and help, and make it available to them.
Right. Yeah. And folks out there, please, we'll be providing the links to go donate to Warriors to Citizens. Great organization. And like Rocky's saying, during this pandemic, we have to, help out our fellow citizens, the first responders, the veterans, our military, because without them, our great country, America, wouldn't, be as great as it is. But also, we have to take better care of our veterans and also, the first responders who have to deal with COVID, that risk their lives every day or their health every day, even to the teachers that, have been struggling all year long too with distance learning and not having kids back in there. And then, having that mentality of, well, I'm still like a first responder too. I have to give the service to education and to the students, but we don't get the same treatment. And yes, I am in the education field if you don't know it already. But Rocky, thank you again. Okay. I can't wait to meet you in person sometime. But this is Robert Zinni signing off for 5enses, and you can find us more at www.5enses.com and like us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.